February 2024. A scheme to fund the nation's political parties built by the government passed into law stands before 5 judges. They listen. They weigh it against a single document, the Constitution. Then they do the one thing only they can do. They declare it unconstitutional. They strike it down. The elected parliament made that law. Unelected court unmade it. No appeal. No higher authority. This is the final word. Chapter 26. The Supreme Court, last chapter. Parliament reached outward to the world. Now we turn to the one institution that can check Parliament itself. At the very top of India's court stands the Supreme Court, created by Article 124. It is the highest court of appeal, the last place a case can go. It is something more, the guardian of the Constitution itself. Whatever it finally decides, the whole nation must obey. So who sits on this court? In 1950, just 8 judges, 1 Chief Justice and 7 others. As the cases multiplied, the bench grew. Today it is 34, the Chief Justice of India and 33 companions. They do not always sit together. They split into benches, 2 judges, 3, 5, sometimes more, and the gravest constitutional questions are reserved for the largest. Here is the question that has started a decades-long fight. Who chooses them? On paper, the president appoints every judge. But in practice, the judges choose themselves. A group of the senior-most judges, the Collegium, recommends who joins and who rises to the top. Judges picking judges. Hold on to that, it becomes a battle later. 4 questions ahead: what this court is, the judges and their independence, the vast reach of its power and its highest role, guardian of the Constitution. Start with the bench itself. Part 2 coming up. A court that can strike down a law is only as strong as the judges who sit on it. So how are they made and how are they kept free? To reach this bench, you must be a citizen and you must have earned it one of 3 ways. A judge of a high court for at least 5 years, or an advocate of a high court for at least 10, or in the eyes of the president, a distinguished jurist. Experience or brilliance. There is no other door. Before taking the seat, each judge swears to bear true faith to the Constitution and to uphold it without fear or favor, affection or ill will. Their salaries are charged directly on the consolidated fund, not voted on by Parliament each year. A judge's pay can never be used as a leash. A judge holds office until the age of 65. Removing one before that is made almost impossible by design. It takes proved misbehavior or incapacity. Motion in Parliament. A special majority in both houses. Only then an order of the President. In the entire history of the Republic, that process has never once succeeded in removing a Supreme Court judge. That is not a weakness. That is the point. When the bench runs short, the Constitution bends to fill it. Acting Chief Justice. When the office falls vacant, ad hoc judges borrowed from the high courts, even retired judges called back to sit again. All of it serves one purpose: independence. The Constitution builds a wall around this court. Security of tenure, fixed service conditions, salaries beyond Parliament's annual reach, a ban on discussing a judge's conduct in the House, except during removal, no private practice after retirement, the power to punish anyone who attacks the court's dignity. Court that fears no one is the only kind worth having. But that independence has a battlefront. Remember, judges choose judges. In 2015, the government tried to change that, creating a new commission to share the power of appointment. The Supreme Court struck it down. It declared that letting the executive pick judges threatened the very independence we just described, and it took the power back. Now, what can this court actually do? Part 3. We know who sits on the court and how they are kept free. Now, how far does its arm reach? Further than almost any court on earth. Its power flows through 5 channels. First, original jurisdiction. Some disputes are so large that no lower court may touch them. quarrel between the central government and a state, a fight between states themselves. These are the disputes of the federation, and here the Supreme Court is the only door. Its original jurisdiction is exclusive. Article 131, it is the umpire of the union itself. Second, and this one belongs to you. Article 32, any citizen whose fundamental rights are violated can walk past every lower court and knock directly on the door of the highest. The court can issue writs, commands to compel the state to act or to stop. It was called the very heart and soul of the Constitution, because a right you cannot enforce is no right at all. This is the citizen's direct line to the apex court. Third, appellate jurisdiction. As the highest court of appeal, it hears cases climbing up from below on constitutional questions, on civil matters, on criminal ones. Above all of these sits a power so wide it has no real limit, special leave. Article 136, the court may choose to hear an appeal from virtually any court or tribunal in the land. A discretionary master key. Fourth, advisory jurisdiction. The President may ask the court for its opinion on a question of law or public importance under Article 143. The opinion is not binding, but it carries enormous weight. It has been sought around 15 times on the gravest questions the Republic has faced. Fifth, it is a court of record. Its judgments are recorded forever, cited as law across the land. As a court of record, it can punish anyone who defies or demeans it, the power of contempt. Umpire of the Federation, protector of rights, final court of appeal, advisor to the President, keeper of the record. But one power towers over all the others, the power that makes it the guardian. Part 4 coming up. Of all the court's powers, one stands above the rest. It is the reason we began with a law being struck down. It is called judicial review. The power to examine any law passed by Parliament, any order issued by the government, and to measure it against the Constitution. If it falls short, the court can declare it void, not amend it, not pause it, erase it as though it were never law at all. Parliament writes the law. The Supreme Court can unwrite it. That is judicial review. This sets up the deepest tension in the Republic. Parliament is supreme in making law. The court is supreme in interpreting it. So who truly has the last word? The answer the court gave 2 chapters ago was the basic structure. Parliament may amend almost anything, but it cannot destroy the core of the Constitution. It is this court that decides what the core is. Supreme over the law, but bound by the Constitution it guards. It is often compared to the Supreme Court of the United States, but ours is, in reach, the more powerful. The American court guards a wider shield for the individual, what it calls due process. But its jurisdiction is narrower. India's court took a narrower phrase, procedure established by law, and over the decades widened it until it meant almost the same. It kept a jurisdiction far broader than its American cousin. Fewer limits on what it can hear. More cases it can reach, a wider court. This is not theory. Watch the power in motion. In 2023, the court weighed the removal of a state's special status and upheld it. In 2024, it weighed the secret funding of political parties and struck it down, ruling that a voter's right to know outweighed a donor's right to hide. One law survived. One did not. The same court, the same constitution doing the deciding, but the guardian is not without its critics. Tens of thousands of cases wait in its queue, justice delayed for years. Some argue it reaches too far, deciding questions that belong to the elected, not the appointed. Court strong enough to strike down a law is strong enough to be feared. Its only true check is its own restraint. The final court, the bench walled off for independence, a reach that spans the federation, your rights, and every appeal. The power to strike down a law. Guardian of the Constitution, supreme over the law, yet servant to it. That one great power deserves a chapter of its own. Chapter 27, Judicial Review. Coming up